We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
with us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes, yeah?
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay!
Hello, parents, and welcome back to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. For this week's episode, we have Amma guide us through the different gifts that we can get our kids that's going to actually encourage and support their development. So instead of getting them toys that they play with for a little bit and end up being garbage around the house, we want to guide you to pick out gifts that are going to encourage their interests. Amma will get into those. And for the holidays, happy holidays, families, we created a gift for you. Since we have holiday break and you'll be off for a week, we wanted to gift you 5 days worth of activities that you can set up for your littles with easy at-home ingredients or things necessary to set these activities up. But while you try to catch a breather or try to get some things done, you can set these up and keep those littles busy and stimulated for a good amount of time if you set it up for success. So we'll send that over your way if you would like to email us or DM us, and we would love to gift you our downloadable PDF. All right, parents, now let's get into this week's episode.
Hey, Mama, welcome to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. Do you want to end the constant battles for bath time? Do you find yourself emotionally exhausted at the end of the day? Do you wake up with big hopes for a smooth day of fun with your little ones, only to face an early morning meltdown because you peeled their banana the wrong way?
Silly you.
Silly you.
Hey, I'm Serena. I'm a mama of 2 little ones, and as a new mama, I constantly question myself. I wanted to make sure I was raising respectful kids while also building a strong bond with them. But I discovered that I had to unlearn my ideas that punishment was the way. With Lisa's encouragement, I've been practicing a respectful and gentle parenting approach, which is strengthening our bond as a family.
And hi, I'm Lisa. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an Amma. And I have over 40 years of experience in childcare and parent coaching. And I am so excited to share the knowledge I've gained over these years with you.
Together in this podcast, each week we will explore some easy to implement skills you can add to your parenting tool belt to help you create a happy, thriving family. So right now, I'm getting a lot of messages. What do your kids want for Christmas? What do they need? And it's a little overwhelming because I always wait till last minute and I don't even know what they need. But I do know that I don't want another baby, another fake baby in this house. Or another tea set, or just all those sets of little plastic toys that get lost everywhere and end up being garbage scattered all around the house. And just even looking back at the last episode and all the activities that you gave us, it makes me just want to have those sets of items that I would need to create a sensory bin. And that sounds like the basic. It sounds like pretty
Yes.
much all I need because the kids don't even play with their toys. They play with everything else that they're not supposed to play with. So yeah, I wanted to have a conversation around that today.
Perfect. And I do totally support that notion that if you got some sensory bin, water play, and Play-Doh accessories from that detailed episode last week, if you put some of those specific on your wish list for your kids, and even maybe they give you the little plastic tote that you keep it in, or the cardboard box that you keep it in, or whatever, right? So that you can start building up those beautiful sets that are just ready to go, and you don't have to think about it because your mama brain's tired and you just need them to be entertaining themselves for a bit. There you go. This is an awesome topic, of course, for this time of year. I remember those years where everybody would be saying, what do they want? What do they want? It's like, not only are you trying to get your own Christmas things together, but you're also trying to support the people who are asking you. And, the more direction we can give them, the more hopefully we will end up with gifts coming into our homes that we actually feel okay about or love, and that are not just going to end up in the landfill, which
Yeah.
a lot of the plastic crap, as we know, does, right?
Yeah.
And for me, in my situation, when I was had my young child, we didn't have a lot of money, and her grandparents, this one set of grandparents, would buy her sort of her big present each year. And I fed them directly exactly what, two or three ideas of that bigger gift. And they always came through, and they were more than happy to supply that, amazing gift, because of course she would be like over the moon, and they would get, the good the good grandparent vibe. So I fully support the idea of being very specific. My daughter, when she had her first, she and her husband decided and let all the extended family people know who would be giving their children gifts. They said, we are not doing plastic toys, period. Wood, metal, or nothing, or
Books.
activities, books, yes,
Mhm.
music stuff, art supplies, those kinds of things, but not the plastic, as in toys. And I was, of course, very proud that that's the route that my daughter took, and it's been wonderful. And just before I go into a few, I want to talk about some categories of play that are kind of essential for child development that most people, if you haven't learned about child growth and development, you might not realize the different kinds of play and why they're essential. I won't get into a lot of the whys today. We'll hopefully cover some of that in episodes in the new year. But before we do, another, just off the top, another really great gift is gifts of time, your activities, that experiential gifts, right? That the grandparents or the aunties or uncles might do with your child. Maybe it's an annual pass to the local aquarium or to a local museum that's interesting to your child's age, or to some amazing activity in your area that they could take them to throughout the year. That kind of thing is a cool option as a gift. But for today, what I would love to look at is what are the different categories of play, if you will, the different categories of activities that young children naturally gravitate to. that they need and want and require really for their optimal development and the growth. And the growth and development is both physically, intellectually or cognitively, emotionally and socially. All those areas of growth and development happen when children are exposed to these few overall categories. So, what I'll do is I'll talk about how to make some choices for your child or children. Then I'll cover those 8 categories that I've lined out. And in that covering of those 8 categories, there will be some specific ideas of what you could add to your list for your child or to share with those family members or friends who are asking. Okay.
Yes.
How does that
Perfect.
sound?
Amazing. Thank you, Amma, for doing this for us.
You're so welcome. I hope it helps.
Yes, you're saving a lot of brain energy this season.
Okay, good. Okay. Number 1, when you're thinking about what do I give my child for Christmas? What do the grandparents give for Christmas? What? I want you to look at what are your child's interests. Now, if you have a child that's under a year old, you may not really have discovered what those interests are. That's okay. When we get to the categories segment of today, what I will say is you want to offer lots of opportunities for the children in each of the categories. And as they grow, as they get older, by offering up a lot of different opportunities, you will discover what their interests are. For you, Serena, you might not know what your 1.5-year-old's interests really are yet, although some might be showing up.
Yeah, a little bit. She likes dressing up like a princess. She likes putting on the little shoes and
Yeah, perfect. And then your 3.5-year-old, I'm guessing she has shown a lot of other
oh yeah,
categories of interest.
she loves Play-Doh. Anytime anybody asks me what she wants, Play-Doh. And
Amazing.
she likes making things and letting it dry out. I would never do that. I would never let my Play-Doh dry out. And it was very hard for me to accept, but now I really appreciate that she's willing to like create something. She wants to wait until it gets hard so that she can play with it. And I've just been able to kind of admire that from her because
Yes.
the craziness in me is like, no, you have to put it away so we can play with it again. And
Yes. And that craziness in you was a learned behavior.
yeah.
Somewhere along the way, you got in trouble if you didn't play with things the way they were supposed to be, quote unquote, played with. Right. And we are taught that. I remember in school, in grade 2, so I would have been 7, or maybe it was grade 1, I would have been 6, little kids, and you color the tree branches gray instead of brown, or the tree trunk. And the teacher said, tree trunks are brown. And I looked out the window and I was like, it looks gray to me. Like, why was I wrong? And all those times when we make our child wrong about choices that they're making that really don't matter,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're just expressing themselves creatively, we are squashing that creative impulse that is human. Okay, so excellent. I love that you brought that up. Also, I will tell you, there are modeling clays out there that come in little packages of beautiful different colors. You can get some of those, and she makes things, and then you bake them at a very low heat, and they're ornaments. Her hands at 3.5 may or may not be quite strong enough. It might require a parent softening that modeling clay up a bit for her, but it sounds like she's ready to start doing some of that. And boy, in the next couple of years, she could really have fun with that.
Yeah,
So
we have some. It's a little too sticky for her. It's a
There are
little
different
different that
brands.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we
It's
can ask for different kinds of modeling clay because she
And
doesn't
just
like
get
them.
one or two packets to start because they are a little
Hmm.
expensive. So just get one or two colors to try. And it might end up at this age, like I say, it might end up being something you do with her as a one-on-one
Yeah.
activity. And that's fine too. But when she's 5, 6, 7, oh my gosh, my daughter we had little figurines that she had made, little elephants and little
Hmm.
trees and things. I had them all over the windowsills. It was really fun. Little tiny mini ones. So, and I love that you forced yourself, it sounds like, to get over
Oh
your
yeah.
angst about it.
Yes, I really
Because
did.
way to go, mama.
I
I love
still
that.
struggle. I still struggle, but I'm
Yeah,
aware and I
you are
let her do
aware.
it. I just feel it inside me a little bit.
Yeah, good, good, good. That is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with all of our listeners. Because if any of you listeners are hesitant to even have Play-Doh because it's messy, or a painting easel because painting is messy, I strongly encourage you to take Mama Serena's lead and just go with the messy. It's so important. And I'll get into a bit of that a little later on. Okay. So look at your child's interests and or offer them the whole spectrum of things. And I'll get into that more in detail. Um, but definitely provide, as you see things, provide more things that child is showing interest in. This is what we call emergent learning. So what's emerging from the child, you give them more of to keep that learning growing. Another easier term is called child-led learning. Some preschools, some schools, and in fact, one of my nephews is in a high school that focuses on child-led learning. And that is my way of supporting children's growth and development. Always has been, always will be. So that's where I'm going to take you guys. The next note I had written down was watch your own biases. And you just shared with us
That's
a
funny.
bias that you had. And what I had put in my notes was that, for example, that one was about, how things are supposed to be played with. This one is a little more like gender specific biases you might have. So girls can be interested in playing with cars and trucks and trains and learning about how things work and building with blocks and all those things. They're going to probably drive a car one day. They may grow up to be an engineer. What do we know? They're 2 or 3 years old, right? Let's not let's not squash the possibilities of that little human. Boys, and I'm being very generalizing here, but a lot of families I know are still very gender specific. Boys can and should be interested in playing with dolls and caregiving. That's one of our, that's my first category, is nurturing and caregiving. Listen, you want your boy to grow up to be a good dad. This is when he practices nurturing and caregiving with those baby dollies or their stuffed toys. So be very careful of your own biases. So, okay, so there we go. The other point that I want to point out is that we want to aim for what we call open-ended play opportunities. We have talked about that in past episodes. So I won't go into it really deeply here. Maybe Serena, I didn't give you a heads up on this, but maybe we could get that note into
Yep.
the show notes after. Open-ended play opportunities. As a really simple example, most of you will know about Lego and Playmobil. If you get Lego that is just the building bricks of Lego, like not those sets, just the building bricks, the open-ended play means you take something and you build whatever you want to build. Whereas Playmobil, You get a set, you set it up, and that's what it is. So it's closed in how much opportunity there is for that particular toy. And those are both plastic toys, of course. The one plastic toy that my daughter's family do have in their household is Lego. And the thing that I feel okay about Lego is that it's so open-ended. It can be experienced for years if some children get into it deeply, and it can last for generations. It's not that type of plastic toy that's going to end up in the landfill within a few years, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other point to point out is you want to make sure that you're getting things that are age appropriate. Most items in the shops are going to say 1+, 2+, 3+. I want you to do your research and look at what will work for your age child. The reason why this is important is if it's age appropriate for your child. They've done, toy companies, they spend a lot of money doing research about what does a 2-year-old need? What does a 3-year-old need for their development, right? It will keep a child engaged and stimulate their growth and development if those toys are age appropriate. If your child is acting out a lot, it might be because they're bored. They don't have enough stimulating their brains that are just craving and needing that stimulation. And their physical bodies are maybe not getting enough stimulation, right? Make sure there's lots of movement in your children's day and that they're not sitting at a table all the time. This whole movement in the last, I don't know, decade, 2 decades, I don't even know, towards getting our children to sit down and learn their numbers and their letters, please stop with that. It's detrimental to their well-being. It's detrimental to your well-being because they're not going to be satisfied in what their bodies and minds need. When we challenge their cognitive, that's their intellectual, and their physical development just enough with those age-appropriate toys and activities, here's a bonus: they will sleep better. They will enjoy their days better. They will need less from you. They'll need less redirection from you when they're getting just that right amount of stimulation. Now, if you think, okay, well, I'm going to get my 2-year-old a 4-year-old toy because they're really smart, and if intellectual stimulation will help them sleep better, then maybe this will be even better. No.
To the max.
No, it doesn't work that way. Then you go over the top and you get into the frustration zones.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just a little bit of a foundation of things to watch for when you're choosing these ideas for your child's, for your child's lists. Categories of play. I'm just going to go through it, give you some ideas, and in these ideas are, hopefully some things that you can put on their lists for the Christmas or the holiday season or birthdays or whatever. Number 1, nurturing and caregiving. This is the first category. In here, you have dollies. And like I said, for boys too, I also want to say there are dollies that are anatomically correct in the diaper zone. Very, very important. Why would we not have anything on that part of the dolly's body? That's weird.
That's a good question.
We're going to talk about that a little bit when we get into next week's episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about stuff like that. And there's also dollies with different colored skin. There's boy dolls, there's girls dolls, there's dolls with all different colored skin, different shapes of eyes, obviously. Even if your child If if your child is Caucasian, that's the general dolly out there. But if your child is Hispanic or Asian or Black, look at the dolls that are available and try to get something that has some similarities to your child's physical being and the people around them. Okay. Also, stuffies, stuffed toys can be in this nurturing caregiving category. And then you want to have the accessories. You want to have clothes that they can dress them up in, cradles or blankets and little baby pillows. You want to have strollers for the dollies, high chairs, all those kinds of things. And then they can really get into nurturing and caring for those babies. Category 2, imaginative play. You mentioned dress ups. That's top of my list. When you're choosing dress ups or putting them on your list, I want you to think about how tricky is this item to dress up in going to be for your child to get in and out of independently. You don't want to get a whole bunch of dresses or jackets or whatever that the child needs help every time they want to wear that princess dress. You want something that they can do independently if you're not available. So we can start with hats, and you mentioned shoes. Oh my gosh, I remember getting my Amma's shoes out of her closet and just walking around the house in these big high heels. She had little kitten heels, of course, back in the day, but they were perfect for me as a little girl. Capes are really good. So, just a cape they can pull over their shoulder, and it has either a clasp at the front that they can do up. I used to use a lace tablecloth that we had, and it made me a princess. If I put it over my head, it made me a bride. I loved my lace tablecloth. So you can go to thrift stores and you can get these things in thrifts that are, really inexpensive and add to your dress up. Some people call it a tickle trunk.
That's
a tickle
That's
trunk
cute.
full of dress ups. Yeah, that's what another name for a dress up trunk is, a tickle trunk. Pieces of silk are really good because they can be wrapped up around a body. Anyway, make sure that what you do have, they can pull on elastic things, all that. So keep that in mind. And then in imaginative play, we also have a play kitchen. And if you can't afford to go out and buy, or grandparents can't afford to go out and buy a beautiful wood kitchen that's on the market, number one, I am addicted to Marketplace.
Me too.
And amazing things are available in your area on Marketplace
For a good price.
For very good prices. And if you're not able to do that, I have made in my day many a cardboard box kitchen. And you just draw the elements on the top and you cut the side so that the door opens and closes for the oven, and you could put a few knobs on it or not, like whatever. But kids will use their imagination, but you give them a little bit of something and there it is. So for the play kitchen, maybe you buy the play kitchen for them, and then other people might buy them sets of dishes or tea sets or play food. I want to say there are toy dishes made of tin, not plastic, beautiful ones. There are tea sets that are china, and they come in a little basket that's all they tuck in there really safely, and they're tiny, and they're little, they're china, but they're not very breakable because they're really thick. Oh, I had one of those forever for my little ones, and they loved it. And play food comes in wood a lot. Shout out to Melissa and Doug, one of my favorite companies.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say we're not sponsored by them yet, but
I like that.
And then you've got your brooms and your mops that are child size. And again, make sure your boys are being exposed to these kinds of toys. You mamas want your hubbies to be helping out around the place. Guess when it starts? It starts when they're 2 or 3 years old. Doll houses, fire stations, parking garages, farms, and the animals that go with them, all of those things. Cars, trucks, trains, and train tracks, all under the category of imaginative play. And just a note, if you have a very young toddler, the box and the wrapping paper might be the most interesting thing of the gift.
Oh, yeah.
Don't shame them about that and say, no, 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 this is the gift. Let them play with the box and the paper and the ribbons. And just, what your family does, what your child observes is what your child will be wanting to play. They take what they see in the world and they use their imagination to process it. So we went to a lot of garage sales when my daughter was little with another family of friends, and our kids didn't play store. They played garage sale.
Aww.
Yeah, and it was really fun. Third category, building or construction. So here you have the stacking cups or the nesting cups. And some of those are made in wood. I'm not opposed to having one set of those made of plastic because they're great for water play and they're just can take a young toddler's interest for a long, long time. Wooden blocks are fabulous. Sometimes you can get pattern blocks that are wooden that come in, they're very flat and they come in different shapes and colors. So an older child would be making designs with those pattern blocks. Magnetic blocks are wonderful because they can build things with magnet them together. Bristle blocks are really helpful. And some of these, yes, they are plastic and they're an acceptable plastic in Amma's world. Bristle blocks are good for a young toddler because they're easy to stick together, right? And Duplo, instead of Lego is too small and too challenging for small young hands that are still developing. So you want the larger size, which is called Duplo. Category 4, interactive problem solving play. Here you have the shape stacker or the shape sorter. So you might have different shapes that go through a hole or different sizes of rings that go on a peg, that kind of thing. Latch boards or busy boards, they're fantastic. These two are both for the very young toddler, a year-old-ish, 2-year-old maybe, depending again on your child and their development. And then puzzles. Puzzles are amazing for child development. Eye-hand coordination. That is integral for learning to read and write. Eye-hand coordination. They learn by doing puzzles. They learn problem solving. Start with the wooden peg puzzles. So each piece is separate and it goes in its own spot. Okay, marble runs. Those are really great because they can build the run and then watch what happens, where those marbles go. Those are really fun. And if I've got on here Playdough and Waterplay, and just listen to last week's episode if you haven't yet. What number was it even? I can't remember.
107.
107, sorry. Okay, last category with a lot of information is the physical category. So for a baby, you might want to have an indoor baby swing or a child-size hammock. These are really good for emotional regulation. So if your child is a child that's having more crying times or meltdown times, and even, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, baby swings and hammocks can be really helpful. Pull toys, push toys, ride on toys. These are all really great for that toddler who's learning to walk or just newly walking. Again, they all come in wood now. You don't have to go with the big plastic things. Remember, plastic never leaves the planet. Out of doors, lawnmowers, wheelbarrows, wagon. I live in the country. I have a wood stove. Since my toddlers are able to toddle, I have a wheelbarrow that I bought for my daughter who just turned 38. It's 35-year-old wheelbarrow. And my grandsons have both used it.
Oh,
And the children in my care use it, and they fill it up with firewood and they bring it to my front door.
nice.
Children want to reenact. Yes, there's one or two pieces in that little wheelbarrow, but it's awesome. And they're so proud when they get to be helpful,
Yeah.
and they want to reenact what they see in their world, right? So give them those opportunities. Another thing that could be good for emotional regulation and just imaginative play in general is the play tunnel or tent, which can be that quieting space that children often need. And then, of course, Amma wouldn't be Amma without saying in the physical category, you want, grandparents or somebody might want to buy them what we call a muddy buddy, a one piece zippered outfit that they climb into, and it's water resistant or waterproof, and they zipper it up and they put on their rubber boots and they go out to play in the puddles. So definitely have a muddy buddy on your list if you don't own one yet. And if you live where it gets very cold, a snowsuit and winter boots are great requests for your list.
Yeah, earmuffs and all of that. Little
Yeah, warm
gloves because they
hats
get
and
lost all the
mittens.
time.
Yes, mittens with a string are really helpful that go through the sleeve of your coat. Yeah. And then just very quickly, the three last categories I wrote down were music, art, and literature. And in the new year, I want to do an episode for each of those categories. Why is music important with our children? You want to look at getting them some child-sized maracas, little shakers, like they come in little egg shapes, egg shakers for rhythm. Xylophones, rhythm sticks. You can make your own rhythm sticks. We'll get into that when we do the music episode, but it's so important for our human development. Art, and I want to do an episode on why art. But when you're looking for art activity gift ideas, there are something called toddler crayons, and that lets them hold a thicker crayon or a different shape crayon with their whole hand. For very young toddlers, they can't grasp it with their thumb and forefinger yet. They haven't developed those muscles. So the palm or grasp toddler crayons are great. I really want you to have a painting easel or somewhere where they can paint, and you want to have liquid watercolor paints, and you want to maybe have smocks so they don't get their clothing dirty, right? All those can be on your list. Different kinds, colors, sizes, and textures of paper for art activities, different glues, all those things, right? And then I love finger painting. If any of you are nervous about mess, you may not like it, but boy, is it good for children. We'll get into that when we do our art episode. And the last one is books. Why books? I'm going to do a reel this week and show you a few of my favorite books that I happen to have on hand for young toddlers. But books are imperative for really good growth and development of our children's brains, of their social emotional development. I can't say enough about having a good selection of children's picture books. And that's it. That's all I got for you today, but that was a lot.
That was a lot. And everything will be in the show notes, actually. So if you just want a summary of like the main things that we suggest out of this episode, everything will be in the show notes. And happy holidays.
Yay. I hope that helps. We love you so much. Enjoy.
Okay, so to dive into my gems, my first one, which Amma just skimmed over quickly, which is my favorite gift, is experiential gifts. And I love these. I used to give them to my siblings every year until I started a family, because now it's a little hard and they also moved pretty far. But a pass to the kids museum, to an aquarium, or some experience. One year I took my siblings indoor skydiving. One year we did snowboarding. So those are some ideas. And then my second gem is just really thinking about what your child is interested in and what they're leaning towards, and buying whatever item you think can nurture that interest. So for example, one year Amma gifted my daughters a really nice wooden rolling pin. It's good quality and my daughter uses it all the time because she loves playing with Play-Doh. And we've had a bunch of those plastic ones that are just cheap and get thrown around everywhere and look like pieces of other things, so they've ended up in the garbage. But that really nice high quality rolling pin has stuck around. I always look at it and always think it's such an amazing gift. My third gem is actually not being biased when buying their gifts also. My daughter, she loves Paw Patrol, and sometimes she likes like the boy Paw Patrol things, and it's okay if she likes a boy shirt. I don't think it really matters. I wear my husband's shirts. Or even if a boy wants a doll or some paints, like some men might think it's feminine for boys to want paints and stuff to paint or draw with. But please avoid biases when shopping. And lastly, as a reminder, if you're going to be buying your kids something for sensory bins or for Play-Doh play, I want to remind you and encourage you for it to work. It'd be nice if it could be stored in like a clear bin, a bin that can hold all of it, where it's not little pieces ending up here and there, but a bin that you can take out and put in and clean up easily and shove everything in there and keep it all together. I just want to remind you of that because sometimes we buy them all these things and all the pieces end up everywhere and it ends up being garbage when it was actually a really nice toy. So if you're buying Lincoln Logs and items like that have a lot of pieces, I encourage you to think ahead and buy a container that they're going to go in or a basket. That way it can be stored and reused. Okay. Thank you very much. We hope that you're having some happy holidays. And a reminder again, if you would like to get your downloadable PDF of 5 days worth of activities, make sure that you message us, email us, or DM us. It's all in the show notes. Thank you so much. We love you. Bye-bye.
I want to sing with you. I want to dance with you. I want to laugh with you. Oh, how I love to be with you. I do. I do. Such a short time we've been together. Seems like a lifetime or two. Never knew I could love another.